Hey, here we go. Hope groups again this week. Hope you're having a good one. I would like to just suggest right up front here that you read Luke chapter 19, verses 1 to 10, the whole Zacchaeus story. I got staff here today. We got a camera, so we're just going to kind of do this together as a group. I think you'll find it's fun. Our encouragement is for you to discuss the story just like we are doing here. I would suggest that you get a large spoon and you hold it in your hand like I am this microphone. We got lots of traffic going on outside, so we got to do this this way. But if you get a spoon, you can pretend you're being filmed too. Set up a little iPhone somewhere, and it'll give you the same feel that we have right here. So here we go. We're going to talk about Zacchaeus. We're going to jump right in here, and let's start with you, Ricky. Why don't you take us off?
Well, I love the fact that he threw dignity right out the window by climbing a tree, a grown man climbing up a tree so he can see over everyone, because he felt that finding out what Jesus was all about and seeing what was going on was more important than what he looked like to other people.
I like how he's just so ready to meet Jesus. He's just so open to receive him, because it says Jesus says hurry up and come down, and he's just oh, okay, he just did it. He didn't have any setbacks.
Also, the thing that kind of got me is that Jesus singles him out and calls him by name, because there's this huge crowd, and so many people had to climb this tree, but still Jesus sees him individually out of the crowd and calls him by name. Hey, Zacchaeus, not just hey you, hey shorty, hey guy, Zacchaeus, I want to have a relationship with you. Let me talk to you specifically. So God calls us out, individually, and that really touched me.
I thought it was interesting that he was a chief tax collector. He'd worked his way up the ranks of the tax collectors, and he was chief, and yet he still sought Jesus out and wanted to know who he was and find out everything about him. I thought that was very interesting to me.
And the thing about being a tax collector is that it was hated among the Jews, because he was working for the Roman Empire. He was collecting taxes for the Roman Empire, and he was essentially an extortionist. He would make threats, whatever he had to do to get the money for the Roman Empire. But it wasn't just getting their money. It was an okay practice for tax collectors like that to kind of add whatever interest needed to be added on so that they could make a profit themselves, and that was the way they made their living. So he was especially hated by his own people.
And on that, I just, when he calls him a son of Abraham, it's just so impactful, because Zacchaeus was the Greek version of the name Zachariah. And when you think about it, he was a Jew, but because he only hung out with the Romans, because he worked for them, and because he worked for them, he felt kind of separated from the Jews, and none of the Jews liked him because he was the tax collector. So when Jesus called him a son of Abraham, he was telling him your identity isn't defined with who you work with or who you are hanging out with. It's based on who you actually are.
And I thought it was cool that Jesus said, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today. He said hurry like it was urgent and it was immediate.
So there you go. Excellent, guys. Question I have out of all this is, do you think that if you're particularly short, that you're probably more ready, qualified for salvation? Ricky, what do you think?
Well, since I didn't even know how short I was till last week, thank you, Brian Everett, it's vitally important for me to know that Jesus would rather stay at my house than tall people.
Do you think being good looking helps with Jesus at all, or do you think maybe hopefully not? Okay, so you're going for the hopefully not. So here's the deal. We want you to just kind of have discussions like this, have some fun around this story, get all the insights out of it you can, just really milk it, as we would say. But then answer this question: if and when and as God touches our life, as he saves us, as Jesus does what only he can do in us, it changes our relationship with money. I mean, imagine this. Zacchaeus, under the Old Testament, just under the Old Testament, they gave 10% of their income to God. Zacchaeus jumps in with 50% of his income right there to God. And then if they ever had to restore something that was stolen, I think it was like 20%. Zacchaeus restores 400% of what he restored. So he was impacted by Jesus in a great way. So what I want you to do is discuss how salvation has changed your relationship with money. So we're going to just do a couple here to give you an example of that. So I think, Ricky, you had something. How has Jesus' relationship in your life changed your relationship with money?
I think it was the first worry that went away when I gave my life to Jesus and just said I needed him to take over. The times that we go through hard times, money is the last thing I worry about because I know I'm putting my trust in him, not what my bank says. And the times that I try to figure things out is when I feel the most stressed. But as soon as I let go and give it back to him, I don't even think about it, and things are taken care of.
For me, I mean, the worry is the first thing, like you said, but also gives me a less worry on the side of like, oh, how should I handle this as far as like, do I decide everything that happens to my money? You know, it's not me anymore. It's like, God, what do you want to do with this money? You know, it's not my money, it's your money. So how can I use this money wisely and steward it well for, you know, the kingdom and not just for my benefit or to try to be rich or to try to do whatever. It's, Lord, every time I get a paycheck and I'm going to do my budget based on what you want me to do, where do you want this money to go? How can I bless people with this money? How can I bless the church or the kingdom? What do you want to do with this money? Because it's yours, not mine. So it gives me that whole freedom to do my budget according to his will.
Okay, so here's the deal. You have this discussion, you should be able to come up with 12 to 15 things from emotion to generosity of how Christ, having saved us, has changed our relationship with money. And you might want to just add this, think about it this way too. How would you like a relationship with Jesus to change your relationship with money? But just explore this and discuss it. And then when you're done having your discussion and doing all this, take the ladle that you've used as a pretend microphone and make sure you wash it before you have your dessert ice cream at the end of the night. Okay, Lord bless you. You guys have a great time together. Thank you.